You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Friday, December 18th, 2020. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. And, Christmas is in 1 week's time. So if you have not sent off those packages here to your relatives, you're going to have to overnight them. We were down at the post office with some of our last bits of Christmas gifting, and we were told that right now the United States Postal Service is running 40% over the normal Christmas season, like what they had last year, because of all of the online shopping that's going on and mailing packages where normally they would be delivered by visiting relatives here. So it really is overloaded. And I'm aware of that because I have a bunch of stuff coming. I ordered on eBay for Claire's office. Was supposed to be here on the 1st, and here we are on the 18th, and it's still not here. And so, word to the wise, overnight those last few gifts that you're sending on out here. They're still digging out from that snowstorm that was on the eastern seaboard Wednesday into yesterday, and it has set snowfall records. Not to mention all kinds of mayhem on the roadways, 3 fatalities that they're aware of so far. They're saying this storm is going to be one of the biggest in several years. And apparently there was snowfall in excess of 40 inches in parts of New York, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. And so it's time to get out those snow tires and those snow shovels and chains on the wheels and all the rest of that stuff here. Apparently in Pennsylvania during the winter storm, which they've named, it's Gale, and there was a deadly 66 vehicle pileup. And apparently it involved a dozen tractor trailers that skidded out of control on Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania, killing 1 person and injuring a number of others. So this 66 vehicle pileup, including 55 trucks and 11 passenger vehicles over a mile on the westbound side of the highway, happened around 3 in the afternoon in Clinton County. And apparently the stretch has remained closed. Yesterday, contractors are trying to clear the vehicles amidst all the snow. So winter has arrived late, but it's definitely arriving hard here. Anyway, I forgot to mention at the top of the hour, the lovely lady Claire is not going to be in hour number 2. She does have other things that her life is involved in, and they took precedent today. So we're going to run this show the way we would run a weekday show. I'm going to do news until I run out of news, and then we'll be opening the phone lines for your comments, questions, and so forth and so forth. Anyway, talking about the storm over in New York, apparently a man was trapped in his car for 10 hours. And because he couldn't get the car to start, there was no heat. And he was trapped there after a snow plow covered it in 4 feet of snow as it drove by. So you definitely want to watch out for the snow plows. All righty, getting on to the election fraud and the corrupted election and all the rest of it. Trump is, standing up to Mitch McConnell. And he's urging senators to object to the electoral votes during next month's joint session of Congress. And apparently Trump praised Senator-elect Tommy Tuberville, who suggested this week that he may do so. Well, no, Tommy, actually you can't because you don't take your office until the end of next month. So, but it's a nice thought anyway. So Trump is out there saying, it's obvious this election was swindled and Republicans should do something about it. Unfortunately, the Republicans are not showing the degree of spine that we could possibly wish that they do here. Now, there's been a hand recount in Antrim County, and it confirms pardon me, that Trump won that county. Now, that county reported a Biden win on election night. And they did a hand recount. And as you know, the Dominion machines in Antrim County have been subjected to a forensic audit, which concluded they are deliberately designed to skew elections. So the hand recount in Antrim County found 9,759 votes for Trump, only 5,959 for Biden. That's quite a margin. And of course, the election officials are saying, oh, well, it had to be human error. All righty. Apparently, data scientists are looking at the voter fraud in Arizona. They have discovered 790,000 laundered votes injected into the system. So the fraud was definitely nationwide. And apparently, now this is coming out of the Hal Turner radio show, but he's basically out there saying that the California election ballots do not comply with California state election law. There's supposed to be stuff that's printed on them, instructions to clarify what's going on. That was not there. And in Hal Turner's opinion, 100% of the California election ballots are therefore illegal. And the 55 electors in California who are voted for Biden should not be counted. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Mitch McConnell is out there trying to convince Republicans not to contest the Electoral College vote when it's presented to Congress next month here. And we mentioned this earlier in the week, but it bears mentioning again. Mitch McConnell received donations from Dominion Voting Systems, and he shut down 2 election integrity bills this year. And, McConnell wants Republicans to blindly go along with the election theft. This was the crookedest election in U.S. history, and Mitch McConnell just wants to go along with it because, after all, Dominion Voting Systems is really good buddy. And, anybody with money in their wallet that they're willing to hand you is a really good friend in Washington, D.C. Now, apparently, investigative reporter Paul Sperry has found a link between Governor Brian Kemp and Dominion Voting Systems, and that's Jared Thomas. And apparently, this Jared Thomas helped Dominion land the $170 million contract with Georgia over objections of election officials who said they couldn't verify that the machines were honest and accurate here. Now, getting into some other political news here, and this may be significant. This has come out of several sources here, but apparently Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller has ordered a Pentagon-wide halt to all cooperation with President-elect Biden's transition team. And apparently Trump met with Miller in the Oval Office basically half an hour ago. They may still be meeting, and we'll see what's coming out of that. But that's a very significant situation. Another story, this one is coming out of cuzblue.com. An email has been uncovered where Jim Biden shares, quote, "The family could provide a wealth of introductions and business opportunities at the highest levels," end quote. Now, right now, the corporate media and the Democrats are trying to set up this brick wall between Hunter Biden's investigations into corruption and Joe Biden himself. But more and more evidence seems to be coming on out that Joe Biden was involved in these deals and he did profit from them. Now, Joe Biden is still out there putting together his administration, and sometimes it feels like he's doing it with a dartboard. Apparently, Disney's boss, Bob Iger, is on the top of Biden's list to be the U.S. ambassador to China. And this has raised concern because apparently Disney has willingly been acceding to Beijing's demands. And they're concerned that he may be too soft on China relative to U.S. interests. Now, more of the text messages from former FBI agent Peter Strzok have been released that suggest the FBI actually began investigating Donald Trump for alleged Russian collusion much earlier than the government previously acknowledged. Now, the FBI claims that investigation into Trump's campaign began on July 31st, 2016, but apparently, according to these declassified text messages, it actually started much, much earlier. So they were out to get Trump before he even won his first term. Apparently, Judicial Watch has obtained emails showing that the impeachment star witness was warning about the Burisma corruption and was ignored. All right, Sidney Powell, as you're aware, last week filed 4 cases. And apparently her case in Michigan made it onto the Supreme Court docket. So far, so good, except that the Supreme Court is deliberately dragging their heels, and they're giving the states until January 14th to file their responses. And this is going to be after the Electoral College reports to Congress. And, Trump, Biden is anointed president of the United States of America here. All righty. Apparently, attorney Lynn Wood, and this is on Station Gossip, is out there saying that Chief Justice John Roberts is corrupt and should resign immediately. Lynn Wood is going scorched earth. There are apparently reports that the justices in a private meeting, argued quite loudly and angrily over that Texas lawsuit. And that apparently they were concerned that if they heard the case, that it would trigger riots in the streets of America. And that may have been the reason they decided to use a technicality to duck it, or maybe they just didn't want to go through what the Supreme Court went through back in 2000 with Bush versus Gore. But it's clear to everybody that they dropped their duty to the United States of America, to the Constitution, and to honest elections. All right, so people have been looking at this SolarWinds hack and all of the different companies and domain election systems that were compromised by it. And even though there is no evidence at all that Russia had anything to do with the backdoor into SolarWinds, U.S. senators are already out there calling for retaliation against Moscow, saying that the cyber attack is the equivalent of a Russian invasion. Now, if this all sounds familiar, it should, because back in 2016 and 2017, we were hearing all this thing about Russian hacking. They blamed Russia for the leak of the DNC emails, and that was completely disproven later on. It's pretty much certain that Seth Rich was leaking the information out, for which he was ultimately killed here. So apparently Senator Dick Durbin came on CNN saying this is virtually a declaration of war by Russia on the United States, and we should take it seriously. Okay, Dick, here's your rifle. Here's your parachute. Watch your head getting into that transport plane, and we're going to call Putin and tell him you are coming to kick his butt all by yourself. All right, over at Facebook, and remember, Facebook owns Instagram, and apparently on Wednesday, they censored as false a user's post that President-elect Joe Biden's 1994 crime law added to the mass incarceration of Black people, a fact that was even supported by Black Lives Matter organizers in the early days of the primary season. Now, that claim is vehemently backed by both left-wing and conservative criminal justice reform advocates and by attorneys for people with excessively long prison sentences. So Winston Smith is definitely alive and well over at Instagram. Getting back on down to Georgia, as you're aware, there is a race there to control the U.S. Senate. And apparently the Georgians for Kelly Loeffler, who's the Democratic candidate for one of those seats, their campaign committee is packed by New York and California trading firm billionaires. And in a future United States where we have honest elections again, I think that senators and representatives should only receive funding from within their states or their district, and stop, having the billionaires use them as pawns on some kind of giant national-sized political chessboard here. So they're pouring in tons and tons of money there. They're already saying there's a record number of absentee ballots being applied for. They're going to do it again. They've got no reason not to do it again because they got away with it in the general election. They're going to get away with it in the runoff, and that is unfortunately the reality of life here in the United States of America right now. Not too long ago, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made some waves by saying that the Democratic Party needed new leadership, and she specifically mentioned Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer as having been the leaders of the party past their prime, and that it was time for a younger generation to take over. Well, you don't say something like that without getting some payback, and apparently Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was up for a seat in the House Democratic Steering and Policy Committee, but they voted instead to seat Representative Kathleen Rice. And apparently, this is the revenge. Nancy Pelosi, there were 5 seats available. Nancy Pelosi sent over 4 nominees and said the committee could pick the 5th one, and they did not pick Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sometimes they can get very, very petty over there at Congress here. All righty. The GOP leader, Kevin McCarthy, is saying that the FBI is stonewalling on briefing Congress on Swalwell's relationship with Chinese spy Fang Fang. They're going to call this scandal the Fang Fang Bang Bang, although Swalwell is still refusing to confirm or deny whether he went to bed with her. But the man is clearly compromised, and this is starting to look like the tip of a massive Chinese espionage operation that used honey traps to basically go after American politicians. And that might be the reason why the FBI does not want this to go anywhere, because a lot of very well-known and powerful names may be caught up in it. Okay, now Kamala Harris is out there calling for what she calls common sense gun control. And she has already told us what common sense measures she supports. Chief among them is confiscation. She wants to take the guns. All of Washington, D.C. wants to take the guns. They're afraid of you. They're absolutely afraid of you, especially after this 2020 grand theft election has become so obvious here. So even before she became Joe Biden's running mate, Harris staked out the furthest left-wing positions in the Democratic Party on a number of issues, and mostly on gun control. She praised Eric Swalwell's mandatory buybacks during a debate. She liked the idea so much, she's now adopted it as her own. The problem is gun buyback programs in the past have not worked too well. The criminals don't turn in their guns. The law-abiding do. In some cases, criminals are turning in guns they've stolen from the law-abiding. And in a lot of cases, guns are being turned in that can't be fired anyway. So they have never really worked out that well. Okay. Story coming out of Global Research. Just when it seemed like Joe Biden's coming administration couldn't be more of a horror show, Axios is reporting that he is likely to appoint Samantha Powers to head the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, which has been compromised for some of its operations in other countries, as actually being a sponsor of some of these color revolutions. So it's getting really obvious that we're going to see a war party in charge of the country for at least the next 4 years. Out in California, over 820,000 signatures have been collected to remove California's Governor Newsom from office over his hypocrisy and the lockdowns, which are just destroying the economy out there. So they're looking to get rid of him, at least for the moment, by peaceful means. And finally, as we head down to our first commercial break here, Julian Assange has formally requested a pardon from President Donald Trump. And at the moment when Donald Trump accepts that Biden is going to be the next president, pardoning Julian Assange, and for that matter, Edward Snowden, are some farewell gifts that Trump could do to really annoy the deep state. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a reminder that the Republic Broadcasting Network is somewhere inside a perpetual fundraising drive. And we really do need your help to keep all this equipment running, to replace equipment that wears out, which it does on a regular basis. We put a lot of hard use on this equipment, on a daily basis here. So if you would care to put a little something in our Christmas stocking this year, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And of course, all of this donation information is located at the top of republicbroadcasting.org. The network thanks you. Okay, getting on back to the news here. I've just been chastised by one of our alert listeners who has pointed out to me that Tommy Tuberville will actually be sworn into his seat on January 3rd, which is before Congress meets to tally the Electoral College votes. So I stand corrected on that particular issue. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court, which had before said they weren't going to hear this case, well, they changed their mind. The Supreme Court is now greenlighting Trump's removal of illegal aliens from the census count ahead of the apportionment of districts. And they ruled the federal government may remove illegal aliens from the 2020 census count. And it was a 6-3 decision in Trump versus New York. Apparently, it was issued just earlier today. It was put on a judicial fast track because they're getting ready to redraw all the districting lines. And this, of course, is going to work against quite a few Democrats whose constituents consist of large numbers of illegal immigrants. All righty, let's talk a little bit here about COVID-19. It's not going away anytime soon. The big news today is that the FDA advisory panel endorsed Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. The next step will be authorization. And they're pretty much sure that is going to happen. In fact, it could even happen later today. This will make the second vaccine cleared by the agency, and they'll start getting it on out there. Okay, article coming out of childrenshealthdefense.org. This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s website. How will we know that a COVID-19 vaccine is safe? And apparently, Children's Health Defense produced a video of Dr. Elizabeth Mumper's presentation on that same subject. And the presentation is the result of an effort between Dr. Mumper and the team of doctors, scientists, and researchers affiliated with Children's Health Defense. And, she basically asks in the presentation, what does a safe and effective vaccine look like? How will we know that a COVID-19 vaccine is safe? And of course, one of the big issues that nobody wants to talk about is what if there are long-term adverse effects to the vaccine? They do the testing real quick and they look for an immediate negative response. And if they don't get it, they say this thing is going to be safe. And then later on, they discover down the road that there is a big problem. And as I've mentioned before, one of the doctors I deal with is saying that the medical crisis I went through this last year may have been an adverse vaccine reaction that took years to develop here. Okay, now here is a really alarming story. This is from PrincipiaScientific.com. Apparently, the FDA and Big Pharma are going to end the COVID-19 vaccine safety testing. They're going to, the FDA is going to unbind their phase 2 and 3 placebo groups and vaccinate them after just 6 months. So we're getting back to that thing about what if there is an adverse reaction that shows up later than 6 months here. Over on MSNBC, their medical analyst, Dr. Gupta, really wants you to get the vaccine. But he's out there admitting that the vaccine does not stop you from getting infected or spreading COVID-19. The claim right now is it will simply reduce the symptoms if you get the disease. And so it doesn't seem like there's really much point to this vaccine at all. I think I mentioned yesterday, looking at it from a cost-benefit point of view here, the benefit seems at best minimal, and the cost risk is definitely there. Okay, over in Tennessee, apparently a nurse was given a vaccination live on TV as part of the sales campaign to convince you it's all safe here, but she apparently fainted just 17 minutes after receiving the vaccine. And they're scrambling to say, no, it wasn't the vaccine. At first, they said that she has a condition that causes her to collapse when she feels pain. Later on, they said she faints when she sees needles. Really, in a professional nurse, I don't think so. We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about COVID-19 now over in Great Britain, where they have had some problems with the Pfizer vaccine. They're going to deploy resuscitation facilities to all the coronavirus vaccination centers because of the allergic reactions caused by the vaccines. Apparently, some of the people getting the vaccine are going into anaphylactic shock, which means they will stop breathing. And they need to be resuscitated. So anyway, apparently the CDC is recommending that essential workers be vaccinated before people over 65, even though their own modeling is showing this will result in more fatalities. And they're saying it is unethical to prioritize the elderly, get this, because they are not racially diverse enough. Now, if that doesn't tell you this whole COVID-19 vaccine thing is being politicized, perhaps this next one will. Over at the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs is going to give priority to Black and Hispanic veterans over white and Asian veterans in terms of getting the vaccine for COVID-19. Now, obviously, this racial preference is unconstitutional, but the VA is doing this because it thinks Blacks and Hispanics are at greater risk. But the numbers are showing minorities are not inherently at any greater danger of contracting the virus. There is nothing special about their genes that puts them in danger. Like I said, it's all being politicized here. All righty, over at John Rappaport's website, he's out there saying that the real pandemic is an outbreak of PCR testing. And he's probably responding to this report from the World Health Organization, which we're going to get to in just a little while here. But basically, he's saying that there's a problem, and everybody's starting to understand that there's a problem, and a lot of it has to do with what are called the cycles. Now, a cycle in a PCR test is a doubling of the available genetic material. But if you do too many cycles, you will get a positive result, like from a glass of Coca-Cola. And again, the gentleman who invented the PCR test, and he won a Nobel Prize for it, said it was not meant to be a diagnostic tool here. Now, this next story is very, very revealing. Okay, and this was being reported from the World Health Organization's own website. And it starts out saying the World Health Organization has received user feedback on an elevated risk for false SARS-CoV-2 test results when testing specimens using RT-PCR reagents on open systems. As with any diagnostic procedure, the positive and negative predictive values for the product in a given testing population are important to note. It goes on with a lot more scientific talk, but the short version is the World Health Organization is admitting there are problems regarding false positives with the PCR test for COVID. Alrighty, over at the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, they have come down with the statement that employers can bar unvaccinated employees from the workplace. And no, that's not the reason why Claire is not going to be in hour number 2. I didn't bar her from the workplace here at our little studio here. But apparently, this is another form of coercion to get around all the laws saying that you may not be given a medical treatment without your informed consent. And so they're trying to find ways to pressure you to get the shot. And again, it is how hard they're pushing this, almost pointless, useless vaccine, that raises the hairs on the back of my neck. All right, apparently over in Minnesota, their attorney general has sued 2 taverns, Alibi's Drinkery in Lakeville, Minnesota, and Neighbors on the Rum in Princeton, and basically said the state intends to suspend the liquor licenses of both establishments for 2 months for defying the coronavirus restrictions. And apparently these two pubs were among the restaurants that stayed open this week, despite the orders to stay closed. So people are rebelling against all this lockdown nonsense. It really is. Getting on back to the World Health Organization here, they are urging people to stay home over Christmas and avoid seeing your family because it is not worth the risk of getting COVID. And they're just saying people should make a few more months sacrifices to curb the virus. Well, remember when this whole thing started up last March and the lockdowns were only going to be for a few weeks to flatten the curve of infections? And now it's become a permanent lifestyle. And I, for one, really do resent it. Now, Dr. Fauci is backpedaling, and he's now saying that he never said Christmas should be canceled. He is saying there should be a modified celebration, without saying exactly what that would mean. Okay. Now, the police have finally launched an investigation into the death of vaccine safety advocate Brandy Vaughan. Now, Brandy's death was originally reported as resulting from gallbladder complications, but a lot of her friends and co-activists are suspecting foul play, and these suspicions have gained traction due to a wave of mysterious deaths, many of them violent, among alternative and integrative medical doctors in recent years. So they've sent out specimens for a toxicological study to see if maybe she was actually poisoned here. Over in Great Britain, researchers studied the genomes of almost 500 million British people, and they found that ethnic minorities are severely deficient in vitamin D, putting them at increased risk of infections such as COVID-19. So it's another confirmation that, vitamin D is something that can protect you from COVID-19. Okay. Turning to the international news now. Apparently, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is backing by efforts by President Hassan Rouhani to lift the sanctions imposed on Iran since the U.S. withdrew from the 2015 P5+1 deal 2.5 years ago. And apparently, the Supreme Leader is giving a green light for new talks with the U.S. And when they're ready to talk, we're ready to talk, and we'll get this whole thing sorted out. Okay, Israel is apparently searching for a pretext to invade southern Syria. And apparently the Russian military and the Russian-backed Syrian forces are increasing their presence on the border with Iraq. Now, less than a week ago, the Russian military police established a headquarters at Al-Bakarmal. And recently, the 5th Corps of the Syrian army created a network of border posts in the area. Now, Al-Bakarmal is located less than 30 kilometers from the town of Al-Qaim, the stronghold of the Popular Mobilization Forces on the border with Iraq. Pro-Israel sources claim that the increasing Russian presence in southern Deir ez-Zor and along the border with Iraq may be a sign of a nearing Iranian withdrawal from the region. And so they're itching to sort of fill the vacuum should that happen here. And again, getting on back to Israel being Israel, apparently dozens of Palestinian students and teachers were hit with tear gas fired by the Israeli military into their schools in the village of Anin, west of the northern West Bank city of Jenin. And apparently the attack caused injury and panic and disrupted classes. Well, I imagine a tear gas grenade would definitely do that here. Up in Afghanistan, and if you've ever wondered where your tax dollars are going when they disappear into the Pentagon, apparently the military has lost track of over half of the sensitive equipment provided to Afghanistan's military. And apparently these are things like night vision devices, surveillance systems, and other equipment it provided to the Afghan government. I don't know, maybe some of those night vision scopes will show up on eBay. So apparently the Combined Security Transition Command Afghanistan, tasked with providing the end-use monitoring, basically did not inventory about 60% of the EUM designated defense articles, according to this report. Well, you know, it's not their money that's being wasted, it's yours. Okay. Apparently, the Trump administration is getting ready to blacklist the Chinese chip maker SMIC, along with 80 additional corporations and affiliates. And the designation means that American suppliers will have to seek a special license from the Commerce Department before starting cooperation with the blacklisted firms. And this is going to be tremendously inconvenient because SMIC, and you probably have never heard of it, but they make chips that go into everything like the iPhone, the Androids, tablets, laptop computers. They are one of the biggest chip makers in the world, and they have global contracts to provide chips for a wide variety of products and military. Okay, relations between Russia and NATO continue to deteriorate, and apparently Western capitals and the U.S. Navy are accusing Moscow of threatening global peace by activating a system designed to spot naval invasions in the Black Sea. And so apparently just turning on a radar is now considered a provocation by Russia. Getting on to the economic news here, the U.S. money supply increased by 37% in November. It looks like the Federal Reserve is getting the inflation they've been talking about all this time. And sooner or later, that surplus money supply is going to be hitting you in increased prices. Up in New York City, plummeting real estate prices are crushing the city's tax revenue, and they're considering raising taxes to make up for the shortfall. Well, the problem with that is it's only going to drive the ultra-rich out of the city even faster than they're already leaving for places like Texas and South Florida and other more tax-friendly areas here. And you're going to reach a point where there is simply nothing left to tax. Anyway. All righty, we're getting a story. This is coming out of Express in Great Britain, saying that negative interest rates may be coming. Apparently, a policymaker in Great Britain is suggesting negative interest rates could be necessary in order for Great Britain to achieve economic recovery. And it sounds like one of those ideas that sounds really good when you discuss it, like quantitative easing was. I am less sure. Hitting here closer to home here, movie theaters are on the brink of a complete and total collapse. Their businesses are being trashed by COVID-19, and apparently movie theaters are now starting to fade away with the movies going straight to streaming services and bypassing the box office altogether. And by the way, just as a side note, I've noticed there are a lot of movies that are going to streaming and are not showing up on the traditional cable movie channels like HBO. Now, we are supposed to have access to Amazon's streaming TV service because we are members of Amazon Prime, having bought Christmas presents and everything for them. I ordered one of their little Fire Sticks and plugged it in to the TV, and it brought up Amazon's menus just fine, including the little miniature video previews in the upper corner. But every time I try and play a streaming movie, it comes back and says there's an internet problem. So I went over to Down Detector, and apparently there is a constant problem with Amazon's servers keeping up with streaming demands. They're not enlarging their systems to keep up with demand, and I imagine that's got to be very frustrating for a lot of people. I don't know about any of the other streaming services or if there's some kind of an issue with our local internet provider, but streaming is definitely not an option in this part of Indiana. Okay, now Russia has just demonstrated and flown a new passenger airliner. It's their first post-Soviet passenger jet with domestically built engines. And they are hoping that this aircraft will be a revival of a civil aviation industry intended to challenge both Boeing and Airbus. The medium-range MC-21 plane took off from a Siberian airfield powered by Russian-built PD-14 turbofan engines. Now, the plane first flew back in May of 2017, but used U.S.-built engines at the time. So, anyway, the test flight lasted 1 hour, 25 minutes. No problems were being reported. Okay, this one is really getting out there. We were talking the other day about this transgender activist insisting that all newborn children be given puberty-blocking drugs until they are old enough to decide what gender they want to be. Well, apparently there was an article published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is a highly respected journal, and it basically says that birth certificates should not have gender designations, that they should be abolished because they're harmful to intersex and transgender people. So they're saying sex designations on birth certificates offer no clinical utility. And they should be abolished. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. First of all, your gender is determined by your DNA, and it doesn't matter how much hormone treatment you have or what parts of your body are whacked off with a knife. If you're born with the genetics of a male, you're a male. And if you're born with the genetics of a female, you are a female. And that's just, unfortunately, the way it is. Okay? So... And message to our control room. A lot of people have been talking about computer security, and there's been a lot of talk about using air-gapped computers. You know, get a laptop, clean it off, install a new operating system, and then air gap it. Just never plug it into the internet, never plug it in, to your local Wi-Fi. But apparently there is now a way around that, which we will talk about after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Welcome back to our show here, and I just got an email that asks a very good question here. If annual flu shots have been determined to be 40 to 60% effective each year, how is it that both pharmaceutical companies declare the COVID-19 vaccine as 90 to 94% with such a short trial period? I think it's a very, very good question he's asking here. All righty, getting on back here to computers here. And by the way, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines, area code 512-248-8252. So we've been talking about air gap computers, like when I did my NSA code challenge. I did that all on an old laptop without Wi-Fi, no plugging into the internet. But apparently there is now a way around that. There is an exploit called AirFi that can turn an air-gapped computer into a Wi-Fi transmitter. And apparently what they do is they're able to use the computer memory to basically generate or receive Wi-Fi signals. This was apparently developed at the Ben Gurion University of Negev, Israel. And it does sound kind of familiar, and I'll tell you why. When I was first learning about real computers, not the phone relay monster I built in high school, I was at this junior college, and we had this IBM machine, and I don't even remember the designation of it, but it was a big, huge machine here. And when you put an AM radio on top of it, you could hear the machinery, the electronic circuits inside the computer. And somebody actually wrote a program with loops and calculations to delay the loops. And when they ran the program, you could hear Mary Had a Little Lamb on the AM radio. So it's not exactly a new technique, but apparently they're definitely going to do that. Alrighty, we have a caller on the line here, and I know it's a long distance, so we're going to go ahead and take it. Sebastian in Sweden. Hello, Sebastian. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes. Hello, Mike.
There you are. There you are. You're on the air.
Yeah. Okay. Do you hear me? Yeah. I was just calling about the election. I went on the internet a week ago and got some sample ballots from all over the states, well, the places that I still could get them. And they were it's so weird that you don't have the same standard in every state.
I agree.
Every city. It would be much easier if you had that. Now, I got one ballot that I like from the state of Mississippi, and it seems like it's the most simple of all the ballots. And one thing I like about it is for president, they got all the independent, green, libertarian, constitutional, Democrat, Republicans. They have all the president, candidates in different parties. And I think in order to get away from the rut that the states are in now, the Democrats and the Republicans, and really it's not that much different. I mean, both parties basically, they are, except for Donald Trump, they are warmongering parties.
Yes, they are.
And
okay, so Sebastian, I got to put you on hold. We got to take a break for station identification. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you.
Okay.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
Welcome back to our show, hour number 2, and we're talking with Sebastian in Sweden, and I absolutely agree with you. There should be a standardized ballot format across the country. There should be standardized election procedures, but the defenders of the orthodoxy are saying, well, this is really a states' rights issue, and the states are allowed to decide how they'll conduct elections.
Yeah, and then there was a in Washington State, they gave out a 96-page pamphlet. Actually, it was actually called pamphlet about how to vote. I mean, this is just going. I mean, it can't be so hard to come, to get a standard ballot, and without that, and it should be a paper ballot, just like the one they had in Mississippi, and it should be a paper trail. And I just one real quick comment that I agree with what Joe said. I think it was yesterday about the Supreme Court and how they chickened out just because they didn't want riots in the street. And Joe was talking about, he sees someone in the elevator and give him a workover. I think the right can do better than that. I think they ought to go after if they start taking the guns away from the citizens, they should go after the 1%. And
yeah,
really
well, I'm sure the 1% have already got their emergency getaways down in the Caymans or other, small islands where they'll go live out their lives in luxury while the nation crumbles.
Probably. But I just wanted to get back to just tell you about the ballots. It was much easier. I remember in 68, but my ballot was like, I was stationed overseas in the military. And it was like, I remember the envelope was red, white, and blue stripes on it. And it was pretty easy to vote. I think it was a standard for the military at that time. But that's all I want to have to say, Mike. You take care and catch you later. And another thing about the calling in, maybe you could give a limit, a 5-minute or 10-minute limit. I don't know. Okay, thank you. Bye.
That's a good idea. I've been thinking about just getting a little timer to put on the desk here. And when a call starts, I tap it and it starts counting off the minutes here. But, I like to give callers who are making some good points more time and shut down the nonsense ones a little bit sooner. All right, we're going to switch over here to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. What's up? Listen,
usual
I got
stuff.
some feedback yesterday from a couple of people that didn't exactly like what I had to say. Well, you know what? So what? This is not Sean Hannity you listen to, you guys. This is Mike. I think Mike is more of a populist type of a show, and we're not I don't think you're a cheerleader, and neither am I for either of these two corrupt parties. Now, I just want to make it clear, what I was saying about Mexicans coming over or across the border, Mexicans or Central Americans, you just brought up something again today about, I knew it yesterday also, about wanting to change these, people want to block a boy's hormones till he decides for himself whether he wants to be a boy or a girl. Okay.
Well, it's both boys and girls. The activist was saying that puberty-blocking drugs should be administered to all newborns, and kept up until they're old enough to choose a gender.
Now, do you think that people coming from Latin America or even from Muslim Middle East would put up with that? You really think they would put up with that kind of garbage? But it's put up with it in this country, though. Okay.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you made this point yesterday, and I hear what you're saying. I don't think they would agree with it, but whether they would, actually take action to stop it is another matter entirely, because they don't really have an emotional connection to this country.
Well, I don't really want those people coming over illegally. Of course I don't. But the fact of the matter is, it's not the biggest problem in this country. The biggest problem right now is these lockdowns. They're trying to vaccinate us. They're making us wear masks. Okay, they're destroying the economy of this country. They're destroying our jobs. And on top of that, all the automation that's going on, which is much more of a threat to the jobs in this country than a few people coming over from Latin America or even from the Middle East. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. And this is these billionaires that are causing this problem. Another thing is, what about these H1b visas, where good American jobs are being replaced by people that are actually recruiting from overseas, okay? Instead of training Americans for these jobs. And most of these jobs are in the high-tech industry, all right? And a lot of that is Silicon Valley, the same billionaires that are screwing us in so many other ways. But, these two guys don't want to listen to that, okay? And neither does the guy who started on chat with me yesterday. He listens to your show, but he never calls in. I told him, why don't you call in? You got such a big mouth, call in. He was also telling me how evil Russia is. Russia's not evil. Russia should be our best friend, because they have values that we once had in Russia, but we don't seem to have anymore. Those are the points I wanted to make. Now, like I said, I'm not a guy who squirrels away from a fight, okay? You guys want to talk that kind of stuff? You're welcome to it. I wish we could debate. I wish you'd let us really debate, okay? I would make a monkey out of either of these two clowns, because they don't know what they're talking about. But that's pretty much all I got to say, Mike, all right? I know I got some complaints that I was wrong, and that's okay. I understand I was, and I know you guys are other callers. So I just had to say my piece. Thank you. I hope these guys call in and challenge what I just said. I love it. And I hope that didn't hurt your feelings either.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. On this, you're talking about testing for the COVID virus. Well,
yes,
you're right that test was not made to test for any disease. It was made to just magnify whatever's there. But,
yes.
Kerry Mullis, he died, incidentally. He died just before all this stuff started. I think he died in November or December. But they also have never isolated the virus. So what are they testing for? They never isolated it. They've never. They can, if a virus, they're sure a virus exists, they can isolate it on an electron microscope like chickenpox.
Yes.
Some of these viruses they've never isolated. They never isolated HIV virus. That's why they always talk about the test for the HIV antibodies. This is similar to the HIV test. Remember they always say, well, you're not really testing for AIDS. You're testing for this antibody and so forth and so on. So I mean, if it's not, it's all bogus. So and the cases are bogus too. They say cases. That's totally meaningless. In the first place, like you said, the test is bogus, and a case. If you're not sick, you don't have a case of something. But so we're all in agreement on this, and it's getting worse and worse all the time. They want everybody to panic, be crazy, wear a mask all the time. Masks don't do any good at all for anybody. And
No,
that's
they
been
don't.
proven over and over again.
Yep. They cause more harm than good.
Say a few words about Alex Jones. He fired David Knight. One thing about David Knight was better than Alex Jones by all means. He was more level-headed. I mean, he would get fired up a little bit, but Alex Jones and I'll tell you what's wrong with Alex Jones. I heard I heard him say this himself a long time ago on one of his listen to him on the radio. He used to always talk about his fights. He got in so many fights when he was a youngster, and he loved to fight, and he got knocked out. He got a lot of concussions. That's what's wrong with him. And one time he said, I probably had brain damage. And that's what the deal is with Alex Jones. He has brain damage, and people like that they're prone to anger, spells of anger. And you can see him sometimes. I don't watch him anymore. You can still see him. If you look at him, he'll grab his head like he's got a terrible headache. He's got problems with his brain. It's catching up with him. And I'd like to just leave you with these. You were talking about dogs the other day, too, with Mark.
Yes.
Bulldogs.
Pit bulls.
Groucho Marx had some words to say about dogs. He said, outside of a dog, a good book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. That's all I got, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah, I remember that one. All righty. Well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Karen in West Virginia. Hello, Karen. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. This is Karen in West Virginia. I enjoy your show. I never have called in, but I'd like to comment on something Mark keeps saying about, all the Hispanics coming in over the border and let's bring in a bunch of Muslims. A country is the people living in the country.
Yes.
And if you keep replacing the native stock with new people, you don't have a country anymore. I know there's a lot of people that have money and they enjoy the Hispanics because they get all the lawn care and the pool care and anything they need done in their house, they can get it done cheaply, and that's why they want all these people here. But they're not. I'm not saying that they don't belong here at all, but we don't need to be inundated with them. And it's just a straw man argument to bring up something like, well, they won't transgender their kids or this or that. It's just a straw man argument because I don't believe in that. There's a lot of white people and a lot of black people that don't believe in that either.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, his arguments are just, if he really thinks about it, they don't make sense. I don't believe in this pandemic thing, and I've noticed, just switching the subjects, that my local paper is pushing this like nothing I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Every day, and this is just a small town that I live in, but the local paper, every day, the first thing at the head of the paper is COVID, 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 COVID. I've never seen anything. I'm 67.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through a lot in my life. I've seen a lot of history. I've never seen anything like this.
No, I haven't
I'm
either.
not taking a shot.
Fox News all day has been replaying the video of Mike Pence and his wife getting a shot of something, along with
exactly. What Mike Pence gets isn't going to be what you or I get. There's no assurance of that, and I'd rather take my chances with the disease because even at my age, 99.7% of the people survive.
Yeah.
So the shot is worse than the disease. It's just crazy. I don't know what they're trying to pull here, but there's a lot of people that fall for this stuff.
Unfortunately, you're correct here, and there's a lot of money involved, a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of questions about exactly what this vaccine is supposed to do, since it doesn't really seem to be all that useful against COVID-19.
No, I've had flu bugs, and I got sick, and I was in bed for a few days, and I had the chills, and I didn't feel good, and but my body's immune system took care of it, and I've never seen anything like this in the media. I've never seen anything just every single day. The first thing on when you get your paper, there it is, COVID this.
Yes.
COVID that. So I keep listening. I just really enjoy your show. I just never have called in, but I think this Mark guy needs to really go back and rethink his position because it's not as secure as he thinks it is. Because the people in the country are the nation. That you can't just keep replacing them. You have a different nation then. So
yes, you do.
Anyway, have a great evening.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, Karen. We're going to go to John in Michigan. Hello, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, a couple of things. Your last caller brought up Mike Pence, and Mike Pence is a never Trumper. He's just brought in because of recommendations, and he also is the one that Trump gave the COVID problem to, and he brought in Fauci and Birx. So Pence is definitely not someone that I think Trump should keep, and he may not. I think he's going to get back in, but Pence is just part of the program too. And I don't care Republican, Democrat. He's a rhino. And you also brought up one of your last two callers before brought up Russia as being our friend, and I agree with that person as far as knowing that they kicked out the banking cartel, the Rothschild banking cartel, which we haven't yet, and that's where most of our problems stem from. The cartels, Syria is a boogeyman because they don't have the banking cartel. Iran is a boogeyman because they don't have the banking cartel.
Exactly.
We have to do the same thing. And Iceland did it a few years back, and you don't hear any more about that. They imprisoned bankers and kicked them out. So that is why Russia has really come into their own. They do have a real good control over their exports with wheat, I believe, and they don't have GMO garbage. So
no, they don't.
Russia is a boogeyman to the Rothschilds.
Yes,
that's who's running this show. Whereabouts do you live in Indiana, Mike? Because my son lives there too.
Well, I'm in the town of Santa Claus, which is in the southwestern tip of the state. Yep.
Okay, my son lives up by outside of Indianapolis, near
other end of the state.
Yep. Okay. Well, that and as far as immigration goes, Bill Clinton once made a statement that by 2050 there won't be a Caucasian race, and he's a piece of scum too. So.
Yeah. Well, that does seem to be the plan here. I mean, if you look at the way whites are being attacked and marginalized in our society, it's getting really ugly out there. Anyway, thank you for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Yeah, I agree with Karen, and I agree with Joe's call yesterday. The North Carolina caller calls in and talks about the same thing. He's already rambled on about this. It's 20 minutes almost yesterday. When you do look at what he's talking about, I mean, the transgender is maybe a quarter or 1%? So we're supposed to let in, 10, 15, 20 million illegal aliens trying to vote, collect welfare, committing crimes over because a quarter of the 1% of the population that are American citizens are doing something wrong? I mean, there's something very myopic about that type of reasoning.
I agree.
The fact is they're not doing all these jobs that Americans don't want or that people don't want and this type of thing. Sure, that may be some percentage of it, but we're seeing now throughout history, when you look at organizations like FAIR, and I'm trying to think of Numbers USA, we're seeing second and third generations of these, anchor babies and things like that are not working, that are still on American support, economic and educational support systems. So I don't get it. I don't understand what the North Carolina caller's got to think. Another thing that I think is pretty indicative of him is he always has some form of some type of socialist nation or socialist leader that he ends up heaping some kind of praise on, but he doesn't recognize, like Trump just got us out of the Open Skies Treaty or one of these other treaties. I'm sure you're aware of that. I never hear these people mention, it's always like, why aren't we more like this socialist country? And what's wrong with the communist country and the communist system and that doggone capitalist system? It's producing too many billionaires that are creating jobs for people. We got to get rid of that. I don't understand this, Michael. That's not American in any way, shape, or form. Thank you very much, Michael. Have a great show.
All right, thank you very much. And we're going to go to James in Ireland. Hello, James. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Mike. Long time no here.
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, sorry, it might be a delay. I'm just looking at your political system there. You have two parties, Democrats, Republicans.
Yes.
And Trump scored, 70-odd million votes, and only a couple of more million votes the other half. What's stopping Trump from starting a third party next term? Like, he's got 75,000 votes or so. That would leave the Republicans and the Democrats to fight over the other 70-odd thousand. So it would split the vote for both of them. He'd still come
That's not a bad idea. I mean, normally third parties, independent parties face an uphill battle, but with the public support that Trump has, he could launch a third party and succeed.
And call it the Patriots or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just an idea. I know we've 5 different political parties here in this country.
All right. Well, James, there's the music. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease-Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease-Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease-Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease-Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone. Big
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phone to Lauren in Ohio. Hello, Lauren. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. A couple of things. Fully on the third party stuff. Look, if they can't follow the rules with all the evidence that we have right now, then what is the point of all this? I mean, it's like saying, oh, we need to come together for a constitutional convention. If they don't follow the rules now, what makes you think they'll follow the rules later? We're like little kids, all bickering amongst ourselves. Oh, he said this, she said that. Are you kidding me? My heritage, 4 different tribes of Indians that I know about. All of them gone. All of them gone. Why are they gone? Because they couldn't stop arguing while my other ancestor, Raymond Emery, who was aide-de-camp for George Washington, crossed the Ohio River and explored this land in spite of the treaty that said they wouldn't do that. And he said, you're a fool if you don't go over there and look and see what they got. And that's how my family got here. French conquerors, German, white slaves, multiple Indian tribes, all of them slaughtered. And it's so funny to watch them treat us just like the Indians. Here's some smallpox blankets for you. We really care about you. I mean, how'd you kill the Indians? You gave them disease. You gave them infection. Then you milked all their money out of them. You gotta that mycoplasma paper that I keep trying to get people to read. Mycoplasma, the linking pathogen in neurosystemic diseases by Professor Donald Scott. It says right in there, this pathogen gives you all these ailments. What's in the COVID? Were they coming up positive for in Australia after taking the vaccine? AIDS. I mean, and it's really funny because this is an 11-page bioweapons paper that tells you that the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes of Health, the Armed Institute of Pathology, it's just crazy. They're doing this to us, and we just sit here and take it. So here's my solution. First off, stop obeying your legitimate authority. When they say wear a mask, no. They say take a shot, no. Why do you need to sign a release form? Because it's going to hurt you, and they don't want to be responsible. And if you're dumb enough to let them do it, well, shoot, you get what you deserve. So, hard heads make for soft behinds. What you tolerate will continue. There's no voting inside this system. You're not even in the republic as it is right now. This is corporations. The CDC is a corporation. It's not a government body. Same thing with everything. It's all the illusion of authority. God made the men made a club to limit the government so men could be free. We need to all unite in that knowledge and respect each other, white, black, brown, whatever color. Stop importing people. You don't need a replacement population here. There's plenty of people here with nothing to do because all our factories are gone because the people that you trusted, Democrat and Republican, the unions you trusted shipped your jobs overseas, and now you can't even smelt a bullet. So, if we keep this up, sitting on our behinds, waiting for that payment, oh, they'll give us money. Where's our money? We need money. We ain't not getting no money. Okay? If a man doesn't work, nor shall he eat. God's going to win this because it's just the truth of how things work. They say don't have babies. God said be fruitful and multiply. The Muslims are listening to God. They have 6 babies on average, while white people are killing their babies and having just the one perfect child. So you can spend your money and time and play. Well, that's all fine and good, but see, that's why they call it the fourth turning. When you get down about 4 generations, it's decayed enough. I mean, tranny story time, killing babies in Virginia and selling their body parts publicly. I mean, we're no better than the Aztecs, cutting up the people on the thing and kicking their bodies down the temple steps and hanging up them long stakes. We're going to eat some human because that's all there was left to eat. So, this is the time that the ignorant are going to be called. It's survival of the wisest. We need to stop obeying illegitimate authority. You are a child, a creature of the living God, whether you're an atheist or not. God doesn't care what you think. We know, I know no man made me. So I'm not here to do another man's bidding, to wear a mask and cause myself harm, to eat poison food, genetically engineered food. No, I grew a garden. I put in a greenhouse. I'm making doing the things that I need to do to prepare, just like, Joseph did. We have time to get ready, and that's what we need to do. The other thing is, if we quit giving them money, that's the easiest thing. This is something that people can do. You don't need to go march. Everybody piles into Washington. You give them all their money, their hotels. You drive gas. They own all these things, and they're listening to you. But if you stop doing what they say, if you keep your children in your control, put them in a school, gather, one teacher. All these teachers don't have nothing to do. They're home. Get one of them and have them teach all the kids on the block. You guys pitch in, put your money in. You know who's watching your children. You know what they're being taught. This is what I'm talking. We have to get back to living. We're not living lives anymore. We just sit here and observe like Wall-E, fat in a chair. Well, they say, here, this is good for your health. Okay. So I appreciate your time. I'm going to get off because I'm long-winded and I know other people want to talk, but we have all the power. People be encouraged. This is a new year coming, and keep supporting President Trump. Bottom line is, if the Supreme Court, and they're blackmailed, they're bought off, John Roberts and his, stolen kids and his pedophile, whatever all he's doing. I don't care when he said that Obamacare, the Supreme Court said so.
Okay, Lauren, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs at Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
When all this twisted steel was sweat. what's really happened.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I don't know whether you covered this today or not. I checked in a little late, but I heard from more than one source today that there was a hand recount of votes in Antrim County, Michigan.
Yes.
And the count went solidly to Trump this time by more than 4,000 votes.
Yes.
That county was awarded to Biden because they were using those damn machines.
Yes.
So the machines just gave the damn vote in Antrim County to Biden.
Yes.
Well, then what does that tell you?
It tells us the election was rigged.
Good Lord. Yeah. Two other things really quick. About Russia. Russia and Eastern Europe are going to be the center of the white race before long. And we need to embrace Russia. We need to embrace Eastern Europe. They're now our brothers.
Yep.
I just get irritated as hell with people who want to yak about Russia and claim Russia is the most evil thing on earth. It is not. It is not. Lastly, tell me, what good is that damn vaccine? If you still have to wear your mask, you have to still hold up in your house. What good is it?
Yeah, it does seem to be pretty pointless.
Yeah, it is pointless. I heard that damn the Dr. Gupta go on about that, and I thought, just go away. Stop this nonsense. Period. So when people are going to have to ask some hard questions of their doctors who want them to take the vaccine. Really? Okay. Do I have to wear my mask now? I don't wear a mask anyway. Period. But many people I know want to get rid of their mask. Well. If they can't stop wearing your mask, and if they have to keep social distancing, which is about one of the most stupid terms I've ever heard.
Yes.
And if they have to limit their contact with other people, with their friends, what good is it? Good Lord, we're being played, man. We are being played.
We are. There's no question about it. I mean, I wear a mask to be polite, but I'm not going to get that shot.
No, I'm not going to get that damn shot either. I'll tell you what, Mike, I won't be happy until I see the politicians and the bureaucrats behind us hanging from bridges and tree limbs. Damn it, I'm angry. I am angry as hell.
I hear you.
And
a lot of people are angry.
On top of this damned election here, Anyway. Okay. I've had my say. Thank you much.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to go to Laura in Colorado. Hello, Laura. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thanks for taking my call, Mike. I'll tell you what, your show is about number one. I listen to a lot of them, but you're just about number one in my books.
Well, thank you.
First wanted to say that, well, you're welcome. First wanted to say that Lauren from Ohio, she could be my best friend in the whole world because she's spot on. In fact, I'd probably vote for her for president. But anyway, wanted to tell everybody a little story about a vaccine. And this is something really important. I want everyone to think about it. I have, for 20 years, rescued animals. And none of my personal animals are vaccinated at all. I live far out on rural property in Colorado. My dogs run through the prairie. They kill rabbits. They do it all. Got cats that keep my mice down. Got chickens. I am a holistic person. I use holistic means to heal animals, and I've been doing it for a long time. When we lived in downtown Colorado Springs, we placed over 100 cats that people had dumped in the alley behind our home. And we, out of pocket, after our kids were raised, we would get them all spayed and neutered through a veterinarian, not the local spay and neuter clinic chop shop. Okay. Well, my vet was on vacation. I had 4 litters of kittens at the time because I'd rescued 4 pregnant cats in the winter. We were already placing the little kittens as far as, finding out who wanted them in advance and whatnot. They weren't ready. Well, we had a cat we had rescued, and she started whining. So I told my husband, my vet's on vacation, I said, take her down to the chop shop. We cannot have another litter over here. So he goes down and takes her there, and they lied to him and told him it was state law that this cat have a distemper vaccine shot. And I knew it was a lie. Can't trust a thing they say. But in order to get the cat spayed, it had to be done. There wasn't any other way they were going to do it. So he went ahead and acquiesced to it, and we got her spayed. And within 5 days of her coming home, I had animals dropping like flies. They had high fevers. Their little eyes were jittering back and forth. They were moaning out loud. They were dying practically in my hands. I'd come home from work. I'd have 3 or 4 dead animals. I'd get up in the morning and have 2 more dead animals on the floor. And these were little kittens and their mommies that we had rescued. And it took me 3 or 4 days to figure out that what had happened was that cat had came home after that vaccine, and she was a carrier of feline distemper. I lost 19 animals in 6 days. There was nowhere else left in our yard over there to bury these animals. Now, I'll tell you what did save their lives. I had 3 survive by the time I figured out what was going on. We have a friend that's got a Silver Lungs nano silver machine. She made us some really strong colloidal silver, and my husband said, "Oh, Laura, that stuff's so strong, it's liable to kill those animals." And I said, "They're dead anyway. If we don't do something, they're going to die." And they had fevers and whatnot. 3 of them survived with mass quantities, like given like 6 or 8 doses a day in the mouth. Took it when my vet came back. I told him what happened. He couldn't believe that colloidal silver had saved those cats, but it did.
Yes.
And so this is my story for everybody. No one ever talks about when there's a vaccine administered, how an animal or a person can become a carrier.
Well, we've seen that before where, somebody will get the measles vaccine and go back to school, and immediately there's an outbreak of measles, and of course the media will say, well, those kids should have had the vaccination. We're dealing with this current situation in Africa where the Bill Gates-backed polio vaccine seems to be causing polio all across Africa.
And that's what it is. It creates a carrier. So now you got a typhoid Mary, right? And so I haven't had a vaccine in 40 years. My animals are never vaccinated. I've never had, and I'm way out on rural property in the high prairie, like, dances with wolves would live, And we never have any sicknesses in our home. We put colloidal silver in the water of our animals all the time. We drink it. I use diatomaceous earth to keep the parasites out. I mean, everybody is doing the right thing over here. And you know what? If folks would just eat the right foods and do the right natural stuff, it would keep these diseases way down. A chiropractor friend of mine said, when you go in the grocery store, you never go in the middle of the store where the aisles are. You always just do the perimeter and leave, because in the middle of the store is where the processed foods and the poisons are located. You just want to go produce, meat department, around the perimeter of the store. Don't go in the middle and go up and down where the cake mixes are and the cereal and all that, because all that's just pure poison. But if we keep our nutrition at a great level and we do the natural things, to keep ourselves healthy as much as possible, and just a little colloidal silver every now and then. In fact, it'll even cure dental problems. I've known people that, had dental problems that got right over it. So, that's my suggestion, everybody. For those that are real pro-vax, you better think about the carrier aspect of the situation. So I don't hear the word carrier used too often when I hear about people getting vaccinated. So that's all I've got for this afternoon. Thanks for hearing me. And I hope that I helped somebody. And Lauren from Ohio, you are awesome. I really like you a lot. So you guys have a wonderful afternoon.
All right. Well, thank you very much here. And we're going to go to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael, I'd like to address this delusional thinking that the Hispanics are some type of ideal migrant community. And I don't see how anybody on the right would want more people that in the 2018 House of Representative elections, 69% of Hispanics voted Democratic. So why would you want to import people that vote against your interests and then call them idyllic or a fantastic community?
It is a little bit out there because, we do know that illegal immigration, it is costing the American taxpayer for all these handouts and food and medicine and care. We know that with the illegal immigrants coming in, because of how hard it is for them to find work without a Social Security card, they bring crime with them. We know that MS-13 has used the open borders to expand their operation into the United States. It's, again, cost-benefit ratio. The costs don't seem to justify, the benefits.
And then the other thing is, they make it sound too as though they're ideal Catholics or something. And the fact of the matter is, the Catholic Church has been somewhat disappointed with them in the United States, in the sense many convert to and become evangelicals. Also, Hispanics have a disproportionate higher abortion rate than whites in this country. They also have more children out of wedlock proportionally than whites. So if you're looking at a dysfunctional group of people, why would you want to import people who are more dysfunctional than yourselves? Also, many of these migrants, even the Muslims, like what goes on in France, when they enter into France, they become degenerate nihilist rioters in the streets of their ghettos over there.
Yes.
And let me just tell you anecdotally what happened in my town, because I've lived in my city, my small hamlet in New Jersey, for about 35 years now. And when I first moved into this town, it was overwhelmingly white. And slowly, because we have many restaurants here, because of lawn workers, we used to see more and more Hispanics come in. And so what this town now has is, first of all, a lot of domestic abuse in the Hispanic community.
Yes.
Also, my wife, she works at the library. Just another observation. Not many Hispanics come in and take out books. So they have high illiteracy, and they're not really interested in pursuing higher education, right? And also in my town, I notice a lot of Modelo beer cans strewn all over the place because they have high rates of alcoholism and littering. So I don't know why anybody would want more of these people in this country. And now, and Donald Trump kind of blew his chance with COVID and the soon-to-be high levels of unemployment in this country. Our government, if we cared about the people, we should be rounding up these Hispanics and repatriating them back to Central America where they belong, because they have no claim to this land.
No.
Just because we've had Marxists running our government for the past 40 years doesn't mean we should continue with more of the same.
Okay.
Whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. And I don't really take being put into minority status lightly, as though it's something to be desired, or we're going to have Shangri-La with more diversity. As a matter of fact, when I compare my standard of living as a child and my lifestyle in America, the 60s, to today, America's was much, much better, much happier, more cohesive.
Yes.
Back in the 60s, when it was basically a 90% white population. So these people, I don't know why some of these people are trying to portray or be kind. Maybe they get caught up in the prevalent woke culture, which is coming from the corporatists who want to bring in more migrants, like Mr. Koch or Koch, the one remaining Koch brother. He wants to legalize all these migrants. A Republican who's donated heavily to the Republican Party, right? He wants an amnesty passed.
Yes.
And so this is a classic example, like I've said on your show, why I'm a socialist sympathizer, in the sense that for 40 years, the corporate capitalists have been behind the Chamber of Commerce, flooding this country with third world migrants just to push down wages, lower the standard of living, and break up the cohesion of what used to be the white majority in this country. And it's going to lead to disaster. And there's no sunny side or, rainbow at the end of this, pot of gold at the end of this.
No, there really isn't. Something to keep in mind, though, is that whites are still the majority in this country. They just don't realize it.
Well, I don't think it's by much anymore. It's got to be coming pretty close. When you hear about many of the schools, it's all a matter of time, Michael, because when you hear about high school districts, and in what's it, the case in California, white students are the minority in California. Yeah, so the demographic trend is still continuing. The one thing, if you're going to try to look for some pathetic form of hope out there, you could hope that these migrants are, like I said earlier, are consuming the same media degeneracy as the rest of us. So perhaps they'll gobble up this leftist degeneracy that's spit out from the boob tube.
Yeah,
and maybe that'll convert them into childless liberals to slow up their demographic conquest and the displacement of white America. Yeah. On that note, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. The phone lines are now completely open. Area code 512-248-8252. And getting on back to the news here, talking about computers, researchers from IBM Trusteer have uncovered a massive fraud operation that uses a network of mobile device emulators to drain millions of dollars from online bank accounts in a matter of days. And apparently the scale of this operation is something that has never been seen before. In one case, crooks used about 20 emulators to mimic more than 16,000 phones belonging to customers whose mobile bank accounts had been compromised. And this is one of the reasons why you really shouldn't have your banking data on your smartphone. Just have it on your desktop at home where it's a little bit more secure. And Claire and I, we don't put any of that sensitive information on our smartphones for that very reason. Okay, we're going to take another break for commercials. Back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
Welcome back to our show, last segment of our program on this Powhana Friday. And we're going to go back to the phones to Mark in Texas. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, just like to follow up with what Paul had to say.
Okay.
He was right on the money. The problem we have is we need to get back to a really different looking kind of world or country. Communism and capitalism are two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's capitalism for the top 1% tribe, whatever. And it's communism for the rest of us. So we've got to do something in the middle, which is we got to start nationalizing our bank, our oil, and we just need a whole different output rather than this dog eat dog. The early bird gets the worm, the Wall Street, Michael Gecko. That's not who we are.
No, we've sort of been dragged off of who we are by this corrupted government, the money junkies. And they've taken this wonderful experiment started by Thomas Jefferson. And over the years, they have perverted it and mutated it to what we have right now.
Yeah, so what I'm saying real simply is we just have to open our minds and really start thinking really different.
Okay.
And all the noise we hear. And I don't know how we do that other than, just going back to history.
Well, I'm hearing a lot of talk about violence in the streets and hanging the politicians from the bridges and the trees. I just got a mass email from Freedom Watch with the headline, "Now No Choice But Revolution." And that's, coming from Larry Klayman's group. And it's very alarming when significant people like that have reached that conclusion.
Yes, and as a believer, I abhor violence.
Yes.
And, that really is an absolute, total last resort.
Agreed.
And we're not there. We're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet.
Well, I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right.
Have a great weekend, Michael. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much as well. We're going to let you go here, and we're just about at the end of the show now. And, again, we're coming up here on the weekend. Christmas is a week from now. And I imagine next week people are going to be doing some last minute Christmas shopping. And again, you're going to have to overnight those packages if they're not going to get there on time. So stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Please donate. It has never, ever been this critical. Have a really good weekend. Stay safe. And we'll be back on Monday. Aloha, America.